Welcome to the Guys Podcast. This is your host Tyrese speaking, and I'm here with my brother Muhammad, and we were
What's
just
up, bro?
shooting this shit.
How's everything?
I'm good, bro. And we just shooting this shit, and we was wondering and pondering why does it seem that women can get over relationships?
You said why women can? Yeah.
Why can they seem to disassociate and get over relationships quickly? And my brother Muhammad, he's been on his evolutionary psychology bag, and he wants to tie everything that humans do back to evolution. And I can agree on many of those things. And one thing that he said, which we can ponder together, is that women disassociate from relationships so easily because they needed to back in times where can you
Yeah, so I mean, it's just a theory. So it's funny to me. I've heard people say women fall first, men fall the hardest, right? So women fall in love earlier, and then once in the relationship, women are able to disassociate themselves from the relationship and act cold while men are still in love with the woman. Like, it takes longer for men to get over breakups than it does for women. And not just like one or two experiences that I've seen, right? Not talking about me, but just like looking at the landscape on how a woman can beg for the marriage, right? A woman can beg for the ring when the man is really not leaning towards that. But then when he finally does it, when she's not happy anymore, she can walk away, take you to divorce court. And I've heard men say, I thought that was my enemy on the other side of that table. And I'm like, damn. I had to ask myself because I'm a big fan of Dr. David Buss, who was very intelligent. He wrote so many books. But I've never heard him talk about this thing, and I don't know if this is true or not, but just trying to come to an understanding, I have a theory. So when guys say, why is it so easy for women who were in love with me, we had a bunch of kids, I did so much for her, I took her different places, we shared special moments together. How is it now she's able to like just walk away and act cold like none of this shit ever existed? And I did some digging, and I'm thinking, is it because women evolutionarily had to be able to attach or align themselves with the strongest man? And one of the things is, back in the day, right? So right now, we can go to the supermarket. If something is happening, you can call the cops, call the fire department. You don't have to hunt. But back then, when a woman was pregnant, when she needed calories for her and extra calories for her child, she would have to align herself with the man who hunted the best, a man who was able to go out there and get things done, a man who was a great builder, right? So what happens when tribes will go to war and that woman's husband will lose his life in a military situation, or if another group of people came into the village and conquered, a woman had one or two choices: either, right, be with the new man that conquered the village, or she could risk losing her life or being sold into slavery. So I've heard things like, I've got the name of it, but when a woman had to quickly forget about her husband and reattach herself to the new man that was in town, that was the strongest, right? And I'm thinking, is that what we're seeing now, women being able to quickly move on from their husbands? Even though we're in modern time, we have to look at evolution and how evolution played a role in our current behavior. So what do you think about that, bro? I think it's super interesting.
The first thing I think about is I think you showed me something a while back about there being actually three genders, and it's not what you guys think. But they say that there's a three genders where it's like there's weak men, there's women, and then there's strong men. And I think that women naturally crush weak men. I don't even think they mean to. I think that when women say, I need a man that can handle me, they're saying they don't want a weak man because they know that in the presence of a weak man, they will walk all over you. And so I think also when you're in a relationship with a woman and she deems you as an incompetent man after being with you with some time, that she turns you into her mind as a weak man, and she begins to treat you as such. I think women are completely emotionless when it comes towards weak men. I've seen it time and time again where a man's crying over a woman that she was with for 5 years, and once she disassociates those feelings and she moves on, it's like, don't call me anymore, Peter. What you're doing is ridiculous. And I don't blame him.
And she looks at you like she's disgusted.
Like she never even knew you. Like everything that happened never mattered. And I don't blame them for it. But I can understand why you could say, well, is it evolutionary? To me, I was like...
So my whole question, Ty, is why is it that
Why is it capable and what? Because why is it? Why
Like,
is
we
it
really
that?
don't see that in the men that much. We see it more so in women. So my thing is, why are they able to do that? Is that a skill that they develop, or is that just embedded in them? So that's the question.
When you see something happen time and time again, that's when you can say it's probably embedded. No, it's not like women all have a meeting where they agree this is how they're going to act. Naturally, if you observe them, they tend to be able to just disassociate from a man they no longer want to be
But
with.
sometimes it's monkey branching too, right?
Yeah,
A better
but
option.
but yeah, and the monkey branch in this process still happens. In order for her to monkey branch, she has to let go of one branch to grab the next.
For sure,
Essentially,
for
she
sure.
has to disassociate her feelings from you, no matter how much you've done for her, no matter how much, to go with the man who can probably promise her a better future. It will be like trading in your bad stock for another stock that you think is going to do better. I don't blame him for that. If you think about it from an evolutionary perspective, that's the smartest way to operate.
And guess what? And you're right, because so much, depended on, them being with the strongest man, right? For them being able to survive, right? So back in the day, they had to be with the strongest man in order to survive. So
And I
it
wanna-
makes sense.
I want to research this because it's like when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, can your mating choices be passed down, like hereditary? Like, is your mating choice? Can decisions be hereditary? And you were telling me that it can.
No, it can't. I mean, that's what evolution is about, right? It's about things that our ancestors did, right? That make us do what we're doing in present day time. So a lot of the things that we're doing now, whether we know it or not, it was embedded into us because of what our ancestors had to do.
I guess that's true. I guess you can
That's what
say
evolution is
anything
about.
you're naturally inclined to do can. I guess you can say that is part of evolution. And so when I look at it from that perspective, it's like if they're naturally inclined to do that, why?
Because evolution comes out of a needs. That's basically
Yeah,
what it is.
exactly. So I
It's
get
a
it.
need.
I'm making sense of it right now.
Yeah. It's
So
like,
when
why
you
do
say
women want
why
taller,
would you
stronger
need-
men? Why do they need
Why would
men?
you need the skill to disassociate from a man that you no longer need? Well, I don't need these feelings holding me back from potentially.
I don't need to feel guilty about it.
I don't need, to holding me back from potentially being with the man who can procure me more resources or who's a more competent, better man. So I could see where you would say how it could be evolutionary. And it's an interesting thing to think about. I need to actually do some research on that to see how true or not true that is. But there is something to be said for that. And as far as it's a phenomenon. I've seen it. I've definitely experienced it. Where I've watched a woman who I've done so much for act as though none of it mattered.
Yep, none of it mattered.
Yeah.
What mattered was the last thing that you did or the thing that you didn't do. All the other things that you did is like, who cares?
Well, what about that video we were you showed me the other day?
Who, the psychologist guy?
Yeah.
I love this guy. His name is Ryan Oteraban. He said something deep.
Shouts out to him.
Yeah, he said reminding a woman, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but he said reminding a woman what you did for her in the past and expecting her to appreciate it today, it's like telling your stomach while it's growling that you fed it every day for a year and then you didn't feed it today, but you're telling it, don't worry about eating today. I fed you those other days. Like, it doesn't matter, basically. So, yeah, man, it's crazy because I just wanted to know. I'm like, wow, how is it that women who are so loving to a man and care so much and were so emotional over that man, how did they come to a point to where it's that they're super cold and we know men tend to stay in relationships longer than women, right? Because look at the divorce rate. Women initiate like 70% of divorces.
Right.
So that says something. And like what you said before, a woman's mating strategy is serial monogamy, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. So I'm always just fucking pondering shit, like especially when it comes to this dating things. I always ask them. Like I said, my favorite question is why. So I noticed that, like you said, women don't necessarily prioritize, or they don't necessarily want to be with multiple men at once, but they're rarely ever alone if they're desirable. Which is also funny. Why I understand why I used to see guys hit on girls when I was younger, and she was like, "I have a boyfriend," and he'd be like, "So." And I would be like, I first when I was young, I was like, it's fucking rude. But now I think about it, I'm like, first of all, it's her job to stop him from making his advances.
Facts.
And secondly, any girl that's halfway desirable is never truly alone at any given moment.
And I would argue she only says she has a boyfriend, depending on the kind of guy that's approaching her.
Yeah. For sure.
Every guy doesn't get the same response.
Oh yeah. That's definitely true. But I wanted to see if I could have found that psychology video, but I don't know how to spell this dude's name. Ron.
That's all right. We'll get it next
Yeah, I
time.
mean, we could always react to it another time. But he did say that was interesting.
So
that he
wait,
said.
so you do think there's some evolutionary aspect on why women are able to disassociate? That's the
I
question.
think it's an interesting to think about, right? Like, it's interesting to think about, and I would want to research it. Unfortunately, we don't have the time.
Because
now.
men, we don't leave relationships like that. Like I always say,
well,
if
here's another thing I think about. The amount of investment that comes from one side versus the next. I think it's easier to leave when you're investing.
the one that's receiving,
The receiver
Yeah.
of the relationship. It's very easy to detach yourself. After I done bought you as a man, after I done paid your rent for fucking however long, after I done fucking took you on this many dates, it's like the sunken cost fallacy, right? Like, so I done put so much time and energy into this. I might as well try to make it work as much as I can before I
and
walk away.
you know, so crazy. Like a little off topic, but what you said, investing. It's funny, right? Even on I don't know if you have you noticed this, Todd. Like on the first date, if the girl is boring and you're boring, you're gonna get the blame for being boring, right?
Because you're the leader.
Like if yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, so you still have to take leadership and you have to be the one to initiate things, because if both of you guys are not initiating, she's not gonna look at it like, oh, let me cut him some slack because I didn't initiate either. It's gonna be he's fucking boring. So it's like you said. So that goes back. I'm not deviating from the topic. I know you're gonna say that.
I didn't say that. All
right, so
you bring it home. You got.
All right, so going back to what you said was, as far as you investing so much, a lot of times people think relationships are 50-50. You got to understand something. Men, we don't ask for much. All we want is peace. Just don't disturb our peace. As a man, you have to do so much. You have to check so many boxes, because women are the more is the more selective sex when it comes to, you know, dating and relationships, right? So when you look at the whole situation as a man, you put so much into the relationship, and the woman, she puts things into, but I would argue that you have to bring more to the table to have a relationship than what a woman has to. And then when you put all that in, then she's not happy anymore, then she just leaves. And then you say, damn, I did all of this shit. We went on trips, vacays, parties. I bought you different things, and now you're gonna leave? So now guys just have to understand, just you know, don't hate the woman, just understand the nature and what women are naturally capable of. So I think that when we come to an understanding of how men truly operate and how women truly operate, we can respect and love each other at a more natural level.
Back to the sunken cost fallacy thing, because we're pondering why. Like I said, my favorite question is why. Why do women need to disassociate, and what should you do as a man when you understand that that's how they operate? So we kind of pondered on why. Why it could either be evolutionary, it could be because they don't have to have as much investment in the relationship, as far as they're not paying for everything. They're not doing, like, most of the time you're paying for the dates, you're taking her on a trip. If you
And before she leaves,
go look at your Cash App.
But look,
Look at your Cash App.
But Todd, before she leaves, she has to know that there's a better option waiting for her.
That's the monkey branching part.
That's what I'm saying. So she's probably, like, you know, already sourcing other offers too.
Go look at your Cash App. See how much money you sent your last few girlfriends versus how much money she sent you. That's probably another reason why it's easier for her to leave versus for you to leave. You usually spend thousands of dollars to her hundreds of dollars, and it doesn't matter, because I guess that's what we're supposed to do. But there's a part of that who I can say that might be a reason why guys feel a little way after shit go left, because I ain't even have to do this. Or I guess you could say you had to, because you were stepping into the relationship as a leader and as a man. But that high investment, it just fucking hurts.
But it's always, but also too, what the question you asked was, how do you keep them engaged? How do you keep your woman, you know, loyal to you? It's the next thing. It's in her head. What's next? What's next, right?
But that kind of relates back to that Ryan O'Terra band guy. That's what he said. That you, well, we can't go into it too much now, because the video, we should just react to the video one day. Yeah. Not right now.
We will.
Not right now. But it's just some shit that we was pondering, because it's like, sometimes I'm just be in my car and stuck in traffic thinking about shit. And I was wondering, because he did pose this question to me, well, how can women disassociate so quickly? And I'm like, yeah, I guess it's true for that, because women seem to be the more emotional of the two sexes, but somehow they can be the coldest when it comes to separation. Mm-hmm. And I can see how that there might be a need for that. And it's just, there's no real point in this, but it's just something to think about. It's just something that sometimes I just like to think out loud, and I'm just shooting this shit on camera about this. Um, I had another piece of content, but we're not gonna get to that right now. Yeah, we're running out of time actually. So I guess we could wrap this one up. All right. This is the Guys Podcast,
Capture Media.
and we are out of here. I've been Tyree. This has been Muhammad, and you've been great. And we are
We out.
out of here.